Hello, this is Mr. Collier, and today we are multiplying and dividing fractions, including negative fractions. So if we look at the first example, we have 2/3 times negative 4/7. So what we have is we have a positive number times a negative number, and we should get a negative answer. Okay, so we should get a negative if we multiply these together, so we can go ahead and stick the negative in here. We know our answer is going to be negative. Now just multiply like you would normally. We can check here to see if anything cancels, but it doesn't, so we just do 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 7 is 21. It's already in simplest form because I couldn't simplify before I multiplied, so I know for sure it's going to be in simplest form, my answer will be. So next we have half times a third squared, so we have to remember follow the order of operations. Okay, PEMDAS. We have to do parentheses first, exponents. So we have to do this exponent. And we'll have half and a third squared means a third times a third. Okay, a third times a third. So what we have is a half times a third times a third. In the numerator, we're going to have 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. In the denominator, 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 is 18. So that is simply 1/18. Okay, and the next one, our answer is going to be negative because we have a negative times a positive is a negative. And let's check for cancellation. So here we have 4 and 4. We can divide by 4 and get 1, and 3 and 9. We can divide by 3 and get 3 and 1. So now I just multiply the numbers together. 1 times 1 is 1. And the denominator, 3 times 1 is 3. So negative 1/3 is my answer there. Now here, some students find it helpful to write this as 120 out of 1. And then we do the same thing as before. We'll have negative times positive is negative. And 3 and 1, nothing cancels there, but 4 and 120 I can divide by 4 and get 1 and 30 here. So this is simply 3 times 30 is 30, and 1 times 1 is 1, so negative 30 divided by 1 is just negative 30. Okay, moving on. Okay, we have negative 2/3 squared, so remember that just means negative 2/3 times negative 2/3. Negative times negative is positive. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. So that is just 4/9. Okay, next we have this mixed number. So let's change that into an improper fraction. That makes it a lot easier to multiply. We have negative 3 out of 7 times, well, 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So we have 7/3. We have a negative number times a positive number gives you negative. Now 3/7 times 7/3 actually gives you 1. Okay, you'll see the 7s will cancel, the 3s will cancel. We're just going to get 1 out of 1, or just 1, or negative 1. Alright, you could also multiply them out. You can see you're going to get 21 out of 21, which also gives you negative 1. Okay, and the last one here, remember to always follow the order of operations. We need to do this multiplication first. Remember, there's this multiply here. There's no symbol in between. So we have to multiply these two numbers together. Sorry, that was a negative 2/3. So the quarter is going to stay, and we're going to multiply these together. It's going to be negative times negative is positive. So we don't have to worry anymore about the negative signs. Let's see if we get anything cancels. Here we have 3's, so we can divide them both by 3 and get 1 and 1. 2 and 4 can divide by 2 and get 1 and 2. So now we have just 1 times 1 is 1. We have 1 times 2 is 2. So now we have just quarter plus half. Remember, we need a common denominator, so I'm going to make this denominator into 4. So I have a quarter plus 2 quarters is 3/4. Okay, next we're going to look at some division. And in order to divide, we multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so here we have divided by 3/4. We're going to change this to -5/8 times 4/3. So we multiply by the reciprocal. We take this fraction and we flip it. Okay, now negative times positive is going to give you negative, and now let's see if anything cancels. 5 and 3 cannot divide them by anything here, so 8 and 4, we divide by 4, we get 1 and 2. So when we multiply that, we get 5 times 1 is 5, and on the denominator we get 2 times 3 is 6, so that is -5/6. Next, again we're dividing. We can change this to -2 times the reciprocal is -2/1. Okay, and I can write this -2 here as -2/1. So it's actually just, or actually it's just -2 times -2, right? So you're going to get +4. That's just -2 times -2 is +4. Now here, we got divided by 4, which is not a fraction, but you can make it look like a fraction by writing 4 divided by 1. That gives you 4. And we can do the same thing. We can multiply by the reciprocal of 4 is 1/4. And let's check to see if anything simplifies here. 3 and 1 cannot simplify. 2 and 4. I can divide by 2 and get 1 and 2. Okay, so next we are going to get, well, we got negative times positive, gives you negative. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. So this is -1/6. And lastly, we have this big long expression right here. Remember to do our order of operations. We'll have to do this division and this multiplication first. The addition comes last. So here we have 2/3 divided by -1/2. So that's going to be 2/3 multiplied by the reciprocal, which is -2/1. Plus, and over here, nothing cancels. So we'll have 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 5 is 20. Alright, so here we'll have positive times negative. It's going to give you a negative number. And that's going to give you 4. And 3 times 1 gives you 3. Alright, so we got -4/3 plus 9 out of 20. We need a common denominator. 20 doesn't work. 40 doesn't work. It needs to be 60. So if I look at the multiples of 20, we've got 20, 40, 60. 60 is the first one that's also divisible by 3. So we'll have to make the common denominator to be 60. So I'm going to multiply by 20 here to make 60. To multiply this one by 3 to make 60. And I'm going to have -80 out of 60 plus 27 out of 60. So this is going to give me -80 plus 27 out of 60. Now what's -80 plus 27? We're going to get -53 out of 60. So that's your final answer for that one.